Thank you for joining me for what I'm more or less calling my story/spoiler run through Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. This is your warning that from this point forward, this video and all of the videos in this series are full of spoilers and speculation for the complete story in Rebirth, so everything we're given in-game. It will be looking at ideas and elements from Remake, as well as the original Final Fantasy VII, start to finish, so including beyond where we are in the story, the whole story start to finish of OG7. It will be incorporating ideas and plot elements from the books, On the Way to a Smile, The Kids Are All Right, Tale of Two Pasts. It will probably come up once or twice discussing Advent Children, the movie, and I will give you fair warning, it is such a convoluted story, and going back through it for how many times I've watched other people play, I've watched my play, I've recorded these videos. As many times as I've gone through it, there's always new ideas and thoughts that I have while doing stuff, so you'll see little interruptions occasionally throughout the video, like this! And those are just, during the editing process, something I forgot to mention. I came in and thought of it, and so added it in after fact. So, if those are annoying, sorry, but it is what it is. So, I want these to generate discussion. I want to hear your thoughts, so please join me in the comments. Tell me things that maybe I missed. If you see something you missed, let me know. If you think I'm wrong about something, please. If you think I'm going off into crazy town. If you think I'm on the right track, great. Let's talk about it. Maybe discussion will raise some more ideas. Anyway, without further ado, thank you for joining me. I love this game. Hopefully you do too, so let's get into it. Welcome to my playthrough, the story spoiler mode for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. We are getting into Chapter 13 now. As usual, I'm just recording a brief intro to this section before taking a break, so pretty soon you'll see me swap shirts because it's getting late and time for me to go to bed soon. But the game is weird about transitioning between chapter to chapter, so not much choice when it comes to recording on it.
7-205-246.
Confirmed. Those are the correct coordinates. See you up north.
So first of all,
Roger.
All units have been apprised of the temple's location.
Good.
So, I did some digging. This keystone curse stuff, it sounds like it might be the real deal. Everyone who's ever used it has ended up dead.
Close. To be precise, those who enter the temple are never seen again. Vanished doesn't mean
he's not wrong,
And
but
that's better how?
neither
Either
is she.
way, the president's sending us to our deaths. Isn't that messed up?
he'll be on site.
I'm sorry. What?
And you're surprised.
I was so
why?
happy to see Reno pop back up here.
I don't know. Maybe because it's a terrible idea? Although, that's kind of on brand for him.
Wheels up. We'll arrive first and roll out the welcome mat.
Understood.
Got 'em. They're headed for the northern continent.
North, huh?
And a complete surprise, I could have sworn that Temple of the
Can you get
Ancients
there?
was in the southeast.
Can I get there? Only with one arm tied behind my back.
I wonder how the
Might be
location of the
missing a
temple
wing.
being
As
different
long
in
as
this
you got me,
world
it'll be
compared to
smooth
OG7
sailing.
world
Oh man,
makes a difference.
this is gonna be rough.
What can I say? Life is full of ups and downs. Ha!
They've mobilized the Turks and the military. Hope you're ready for a fight.
So, if I didn't mention it before, then looking at this dark sky up there, obviously the fact that the light there seems to be right over, you know, that northern continent and where Aerith's been looking this whole time, leads me to think that, you know, that might be the crack in the sky that's visible through some trick of circumstance here, because it's not the sun, because that's the east. And that's the west, and that's not where the light source is. And as far as we know, there's been no indication that the sun on Gaia rises in the north or the south. but that's where the two light sources are. Arguably over the two poles. Or, you know, somewhere that general direction. So if the world's going to start breaking and cracking the sky, over the poles is not an unheard of place for that sort of thing to start. Ah, here we go. You can't
Not
see me,
long
Rufus.
I hope you realize this temple of yours is not, in fact, the promised land.
No. Then what is it?
The beginning of the end. The celebration of the faithful. A watershed moment for all mankind. But the temple itself, merely the stage.
Objective sighted.
I think very odd about Hojo's, the angle of his arms there. They're like too far in. It gets me every time I see that scene. It's like it's just not natural for the arms to be parallel that close in. It just look at my shoulders. Every time.
Are you sure
Okay.
this is the place?
Quite.
Yes, the keystone-shaped hole in the middle of this bowl would seem to be a good indicator it's the right place. Now, if it had been a square hole, that would have mean wrong place, because round peg, square hole. Speaking of squares. Now, think about this. Someone had to program this in. You know, ancient Cetran technology programmer somewhere. I'm not saying they're using SQL or anything, but someone had to program this to all happen. How do you test that? Like, if you're a Cetran building code coder for building stuff like this, I know I test code all the time for my job. Not so sure about this one. And they still, apparently they're not very good at their job, because 2 out of the 3 walkways there leading off the front spot, 2 out of the 3 are crumbled walkways, which means it's built that way. It's stored that way in the memory.
This thing doesn't have any.
Bad Cetran programmer.
And I'm not your matey either.
Just roll with it, kid. Y'all ready?
Or maybe when they packed it away, they didn't pack it properly, and some of the bridges crumbled.
Aye,
Need better Cetran bubble wrap. Yay. And here we go. Okay, so the crack in the light in the sky, I can't say definitively that's the crack. It's not right over where we're headed. It's beyond that, like it's up at the crater. Maybe. You know what I mean? It's still farther north than where we are. Or maybe over the Forgotten Capital. It's hard to tell. I mean, you can't. It's the sky. It's over there. That's all you can really tell. And I think if we could keep going north, it would always be just beyond where we could get to. So, I'm not saying it's a real spot. I'm saying it's suspicious. All right. No going back. Yeah, unless you load your game.
There's so much tension.
Waves did a number on the old gal. Gonna give her a once-over. You go on ahead.
Sure about that?
I'm a big boy.
Who so far has shown no indication of owning a giant lance to use as our resident dragoon in waiting. Alright, not a whole lot between here and the temple, but let's just head out. Okay, here we go. Not much here at the start.
The ancients built all this? Damn.
The Cetra, yes.
That's right, you said him right. I'm not entirely sure about Aerith's reaction there. Because, I mean, she hears, listens, goes down, ear to the ground, and the tear there, like, this is, you know, she's found this thing, but then immediately after Barrett's done, she's, you know, because he's, oh, the promised land. She's like, no, this isn't it. It can't be. Sadness, etc. But, like, she's so relieved and here.
Oh, no.
I'm not entirely certain what's going on in her reaction there.
I mean, just look around. It can't be.
Unless it's, she's able to, you know, and this is wildly theorizing here. She's finally able to commune with Ultimate Aerith that she hasn't been able to for a while, maybe, what with the materia. And this is, she's, now she can hear her and connect with her again, maybe? I don't know, that's way out. I'm just throwing it out there to try and explain that moment. If you have a better take on her reaction there, please fill me in on what you think is going on in that moment. So, I've just been down a bit of a rabbit hole, starting from the question while I was editing, what is the Promised Land? And I don't know that I have a definitive answer. I don't know that there is a definitive answer. But it did leave me to start going through some theories and some information online, trying to track down just some information. Because I realized that in FF7, the original, I never got a clear idea of what the Promised Land was. At some level, playing it as a college kid, I accepted the explanation that we sort of got, which was, you know, we get to the northern crater, and Rufus and all the Shinras look around and they're like, wow, yeah, this is definitely the Promised Land. Look at all this Mako around here. This is fantastic. And Hojo is like, this isn't the Promised Land. And then the whole concept of looking for the Promised Land basically drops off the face of the planet. No pun intended. Shinra stops looking because they have bigger things to deal with, namely giant frickin' weapons. And you stop worrying about it because you're worried about giant weapons, Shinra, and Sephiroth. And so I realized that the question of what the Promised Land is was never really answered. And then it started coming back up again in Remake and Rebirth, and, you know, Rufus just said something, you know, and Hojo had their little conversation about it. It's like, you know, you realize this isn't the Promised Land. And, you know, this is the stage, as Hojo said, or whatever it was. And Aerith, towards the end of this chapter, of course, discusses it, you know, in like 2 sentences, with Tseng, when he asks her, and she says, no, it's not. And Aerith said, here, this isn't the Promised Land, she said to Barrett. And again, it became the question of, what is the frickin' Promised Land? And the 2 main theories that I've seen are, number 1, that it's different for different people, which is a little bit of a cop-out, but it might make a certain sort of sense. The closest I can come to an explanation, at least, is that the Promised Land is not just the life stream itself. It is the act of joining the life stream. So it's sort of Sephiroth's homecoming, but not, you know, as Aerith said, you know, it's not just a homecoming. It is everything that goes into it. It's death, it's loss, it's everything. And so once you are in the live stream, eventually your consciousness, your individuality diffuses and you join the live stream. Depending on who you are, that can take longer. I've touched on this a bit in the past. I'm not going to go too much into that. Except that one of the little rabbit holes that I dived down was the Maiden Who Travels the Planet. And if you've never heard of it, it's because it's a short story, a novella, that is, last I checked, technically non-canon. It was included in one version of an Ultimania somewhere, but it tends to get skipped over and ignored, and I think I know why. It has a lot of statements and feelings and thoughts and stuff integrated in it that don't seem to line up with the rest of the story we've been given and the rest of what we see elsewhere. It is presenting some things as this is the way they are, not leaving us with a little bit of the ambiguity that we've come to expect in the main story. Namely, as far as I can tell, the guy who wrote it, and it was written by Benny Matsuyama, and it's not in English, so I had to find a translation, and this one was done by XComp, and I'll put a link in the description for the one I read. And it seems to come very firmly from a perspective of the Clarith pairing, Team Aerith, if you will. Aerith seems very firmly attached on the idea of her feelings for Cloud, that yeah, Zack was kind of a beginning stages of love, but it wasn't, it was that really light touch of love, and she got to Cloud, and then that was real love, and it really dives in, but now she's separated from Cloud, and she can't be back, but really she wanted to know what the feelings were, and there's a whole bunch of stuff tied into it. Basic plot of Maiden Who Travels the Planet, it is all Aerith's perspective after as of the moment when she dies. It starts off with her literally sinking into the water under the Forgotten Capital after Cloud has released her body at the scene we didn't get in Rebirth. And it's her consciousness figuring out how it works, and then as she starts to roam the live stream, she runs into several characters from our FF7 storyline. She runs into Biggs and Wedge and Jesse and President Shinra and Hojo and Zack and Dine, like all sorts of people who have died in the story, and she interacts with them and to varying degrees gets them to move on, if you will. The live stream in that sense has almost become a sort of purgatory for them because they are guilty or some other way prevented from joining with the live stream because of their emotions and their ties to their life. Dine is still a little hooked on Marlene and his guilt and the blood on his hands feeling and etc. The Avalanche trio are guilty about all the lives that died because of their reactor bomb and things like that, and she interacts with them and helps those three move on, and she helps Dine move on, essentially. President Shinra is basically beyond hope and refuses to, and then gets like yanked away in some sort of weird interaction that I don't understand. Hojo goes off to join Sephiroth in his own little father-son reunion thing. And Zack, basically, they have a weird interaction where Zack is a little bit too, like, weird Zack. Like, he's still positive and she's commenting about how positive he is, but it's a weird version of Zack, and it does not match the perception that I have of him from playing the games. And anyway, so they start to talk there, and he mentions, yeah, I died, and it all started when I was dispatched on this mission to Nibelheim. Nibelheim? And they talk about that, and at that point, Aerith realizes, and after they talk, that this is the point in OG7 where she realizes that Cloud is really a real person, and she finds a way to set up and guide Tifa in the live stream to help her help Cloud when both of them fall in. And there's quite a bit to it. It's a really short novella. It's a pretty quick read, and it's worth looking at. But I think there's a lot here that really matches with a non-canon perspective. What do I know? I don't decide these things as far as canon is concerned or not. But that's my sense, is that having gone through it, there's a very good reason why this is not necessarily admitted as canon at this point, at least. I mention it because there's a lot of ideas that tie into some of what I've been thinking of for the past, going back through this game. And maybe what could be happening going towards the end. Obviously, the idea that Aerith in the live stream, after having died, guides Tifa in OG7 to Cloud and helps recover Cloud's persona, that matches very, very closely with the idea that I had earlier that who was guiding Tifa in the live stream in Gongaga. And my thought there is that is ultimate Aerith, because someone guided Tifa to those memories. I think that idea coming from the Maiden Who Travels the Planet ties very well, so I think that I'm going to go with yes, that's almost certainly it. For lack of any other evidence or something definitive from the devs, that's what I'm going with, and I think that this would support that theory. The fact that the different personalities are still in the live stream obviously matches up very closely from here. The very end of the story, though, like, it gets a little bit more into and directly saying how Sephiroth's will is preventing Holy from working. And that's mentioned in OG7. It's one of those things that wasn't really well explained, I don't think. I think it was sort of skipped over, and it's mentioned. Okay, we're done talking about that now. Never need to bring it up again. And since you're reading text boxes, you don't get the full impact of a conversation, so I just don't think it made that big of an impact. If you really read into it and studied and thought about it, you might have come to that conclusion and really understood it, but I sure didn't, and I guarantee a lot of other people didn't as well. And it was the act of Cloud defeating Sephiroth in that final one-on-one moment. And the Maiden Who Travels the Planet takes that very literally. Like, it even counts out, Cloud did the attack with 15 quick slashes. And Zack then afterwards chimes in, hey, Aerith, did you see the thing Cloud did? I did something like that. Did that make you want to fall in love with me again? That's why I don't like the Zack that's in this story. It's not Zack. But, Aerith then basically summons everybody and has them help power Holy, and they stop the meteor, and it goes on and does its thing. And the story ends, it says, let's see, and this is based on this translation, with enough space, Holy now started to take effect. Acting as a barrier, the parts of meteor that came into contact with it was eroded into dust and released into space. The meteor was no longer a threat to the planet, and it was now just helplessly waiting to be destroyed. The planet had avoided destruction. Aerith's thoughts were freed. Aboard the Highwind, Cloud saw it too, so did Tifa, Barrett, and the others. They saw Aerith's smile that never left her memories appear in the live stream, and gently it faded away as it returned into the planet. And that's that final glimpse of Aerith's face in OG7 that they're referring to there. Literally, that's what they're saying is everyone's seeing. So as time started moving again, their sadness was healed a little, and so the records of fate, of life that the planet created continued, and continued into the birth of a new era. And it just sort of ends there. Which doesn't address how we get from there to Advent Children. There are some one-page chapters basically in On the Way to a Smile that bridge that could pick up where this left off, but I don't think they quite line up with this. I think this at least supports the idea, this whole concept of the Maiden Who Travels the Planet, I think is what Ultimate Aerith is. They just took this idea and expanded it into what we're going to see as the canon event, what's happening in this story and what's underlying Remake and Rebirth. And Part 3, obviously, is that Aerith, this maiden, is Ultimate Aerith, and she is acting not just in the events from the original timeline, the original world, intended canon events, if you will. And so I think this idea of the Maiden Who Travels the Planet, I don't think the story itself is canon, but I think this idea has been expanded upon and used to create this concept of this ultimate Aerith that ultimately I think we're going to find out is behind everything. We'll see. But back to the story. Alright, I'll pick up after this fight, because there's not really much to say before that.
They didn't waste any time. The greedy sons of bitches.
Yeah, so you gotta think, you know, you build this place, you get it all set up, and then somebody didn't test their code properly. Bridge is out. Both sides, too. Again, these dead people and critters are here for plot reasons, which is why they haven't dispersed into the live stream.
Yeah, but they didn't have Aerith. We get a free pass, right?
But half of me is Cetra, right? I tried, but no free pass for us.
Now, I know I came with you all this far, but I ain't about to go in there.
There ain't no reason for me to be following you around them hallways.
No, don't apologize. You've done so much for us already. We'll always be grateful, Sid.
Wait, don't misunderstand. You'll need a way home. So when you're ready, I'll be here.
I'll just hang out here with the old vampire boy until you're ready for me. How's that sound? Keep an eye out for that kitty cat friend of yours. Okay, I said it when I first came through here. I absolutely love the motif with the rotating squares and the way it's built into the structure and the architecture of this place. Brilliant design. Like, whoever really implemented that in the stairs and all the different ways, really beautiful level design here. Oops.
Has entered the temple.
And he is doubtless close behind. This is going to be interesting. Oh, yes.
I hope you're watching, Dad.
I'm putting my daddy issues on full display. Hey, Roche. See, he's got that one thing of that Sephiroth hair coming down in front there. Everything else is still his blonde.
Cloud, do you know who?
Sephiroth beat us to the punch. Come on. We don't have much time.
Do you know who what? Do you know who that was? I mean, she should recognize him as sure as anyone else. I'm not sure what Tifa was getting at there. Yeah, see, look, I love the design here. And that is a bloody big tree. All right. I'll plug in anything that's story related or anything interesting that happens sort of in the meantime, but there's not a whole lot that happens sort of as we go through this place. So there may be some weird jumps as I get to places, but I'll see you when I see you. The level design in here again. Brilliant.
Look at it.
Because you think back to what we got in the original, where it was sort of an MC Escher-esque, climbing up and down some levels and vines, and it's a screen worth of running around, and not a whole lot, but still.
Doesn't matter if they know or not.
To go from that to this.
Hold up. What the hell?
This is just...
I could be wrong.
This blew me away.
I think we checked our sanity at the door.
The only promised thing here is death for us all.
Elena, cut the chatter.
Hey, you know I'm right.
Sir, Avalanche and the Ancients, they're here.
I say we set an ambush and take them out.
No, we focus on the mission. Our orders were to find proof that this is indeed the Promised Land. So we
Even
will
though
split up
Hojo just literally told
Reno,
Rufus it's
Aaron,
not.
Elena, you're with me.
Sir.
No, don't force Elena to go with Tseng.
Reno. See you keep your priorities straight.
Copy that, boss.
Now this mechanic again, just the whole flipping, in addition to the level design itself. This was, this is the way of implementing it. Again, it's just fun and it's interesting, and as far as the design of the level goes, it's very well implemented. Whee!
We just get turned upside down?
Or the temple did. Depends how you look at it.
The blood. I can almost smell it. There was a great battle here long ago. So many lives lost.
Aerith, if you're gonna talk creepy, please come onto the screen to do it. Yeah, so of course we know the battles that was here long ago and the lives lost were apparently the humans. That's what it seems to indicate from what Sephiroth has said and from what we get from the ancients down at the bottom of this whole thing. That this was a place to protect against those nasty, dirty humans. Bye!
Please tell me you saw that.
No comment.
I don't know what you're talking about, if you haven't seen anything.
This is the only way we can catch up to the others. Now jump, goddammit!
Yeah!
Okay, just give me a moment, sir.
No, you don't get a moment! You just go, soldier! By the way, everybody knows that proper form for jumping off of waterfalls down into bottomless pits is arms crossed across your chest. Not this. This is roller coaster form. This is jumping down giant waterfall form. Safety first, people.
No way to go but down.
You mean jump?
I can't believe we're doing this.
I mean, if we flip the whole thing upside down, then we'd be flying up instead of jumping down. That would make you feel better. And as all Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild players know, it doesn't matter how far down you jump, as long as there's water at the bottom. You're safe. That's just physics.
position until the Turks send word. Check your gear and be ready to depart at a moment's notice.
Really? There's no lore around the Red Dragon, but he just looks so freaking cool. How can I not show him? Come on. This ended up being one of my favorite fights just because he's so freaking cool. But that said, it also is a very hard fight, so I'll see you when it's done.
Look out!
Wouldn't be a labyrinth without a guardian, right?
Wanted to tell being girl.
Don't piss it off more!
Focus, guys.
Okay. Whew.
That's not happening!
And of course, after everything, Red Dragon's still going strong here, right? But it turns out, all that really needed to happen was a boot to the nose. That's the off button on a Red Dragon. Just future reference.
Oh, that old trick?
Come on.
Come on. Cloud's already being grumpy Cloud. Alright, so these stairs, I freaking love these stairs. I love the design of this. Is just freaking brilliant because it's obviously it's the twist of the square that we'd see elsewhere, but the fact that the actual stair is perfectly, the 90-degree angles that we would expect to see. Everything lines up perfectly like a real stair. But seen from above, you see these twists and turns, and like it starts screwing with your head a little bit. But really, it's just the stair. And it's such a little tiny detail, but just the design of it, I think, is just freaking brilliant. Now, coming up here at this next stop, when Aerith has a moment here that I think is very telling for this part of the story. And if you watch closely and pay attention to positions.
Wait, what in the what? Look.
Hi! That ties so closely with the what we see in the crater in OG7. I wonder if we'll get that still when we get there. But okay, now look at that. Watch this.
I think the lifestream's angry.
Yeah?
At least, that's how it feels.
Hey, Aerith, do you think you could explain that we
Now
don't
watch
mean
where she
any
looks.
harm?
We mean it no harm, right? She looks over her right shoulder, right back at where Cloud is. Can't explain that we mean no harm because of frickin' Cloud and the influence that he's under. Clouderoth, as I sometimes call it at this point. And I think that may have impacted when we couldn't get in here in the first place, why we didn't get a free pass. Or it could have been, like Aerith said, because she's only half section, she didn't get the, she didn't get the gold ticket. She got an admit 1, but she didn't get the gold ticket for a free pass for everybody. So this part, I've seen other people mention this, and I wholeheartedly agree that this is inspired from Yuna in FFX. I don't know whether or not there are particular moves here that are literally drawn from Yuna's dancing, but it seems like a pretty clear inspiration. It also does beg the question, how often do the Cetras have to dance to do something? I mean, this is a pretty intricate dance, but she's also trying to do something pretty intricate and involved. Do you have to dance to, you know, unlock your house? When you get home, you're like, do a little shimmy, do a little dance, summon some live stream, and that unlocks your door to get to your house if you're a Cetran? Yes, I know it's ridiculous. One of those random thoughts. Bing! Clever hit. The live stream literally pushes these three back and draws these three forward. So the live stream itself here seems to have specifically grouped these two together. Now look at Cloud's body language. There's no concern there. There's no, oh my gosh, Aerith, are you, oh my, it's all just, what's up? She's fine, let's go. It's a subtle just physicality before he's even said a word there.
They're with Aerith. They'll be fine.
Yeah, when is Cloud not worried about Aerith, realistically? I mean, the real Cloud, I mean. He's always worried about her. So, but yeah, it's a really subtle thing there where he's just no concern in his body language at all. Let's see. I don't know if there, I know there's a little bit when we start finding Turks and Cloud starts murdering soldiers and stuff. So when I get to those parts, we'll cut back in anything important. So, see you in a sec.
Run!
Don't gotta tell me twice.
Jinx it. Just shut up and get to work.
We're going as fast as we can.
Okay, it's good.
Hostiles! It's avalanche!
I wonder if any of these guys are Kunsel. I mean, I hope they're not. I hope none of them is Kunsel. Especially that guy.
Please!
It's not death. It's a homecoming.
It kind of is. And I'm sorry, but if they have not had conversations about Cloud behind his back, there is not a chance in hell that Barrett wouldn't call him out right there. Or Tifa would say something to the effect. But you know Barrett would call about, dude, what the hell was that? I mean, it's not like we're not killing the soldiers anyway. So it's not just the simple act of killing a Shinra soldier that would set him off, but the sheer brutality and, you know, the guy was helpless and Cloud just straight up murderizes him. You can tell Barrett's thinking it. He is a little bit horrified there, and he and Tifa are both very worried about Cloud, but they're also, neither one of them is saying a damn thing. And so I have to assume it's because of conversations that have happened in the background. And I also kind of have to assume that it's because of their relationship with Cloud that they're the two that are here with him right now. As I said before the last cut there, the live stream basically chose who goes with Aerith, who goes with Cloud. And we all know who I think has an influence on the live stream. And so the two people that end up with Cloud are the actual Avalanche members who have been with him the longest and who he's developed this friendship with, who are very concerned about him and who already know at this point a bit of what's going on, especially Tifa. And Barrett probably has been read in a little bit on it, because there's way too many times when Barrett doesn't say anything where he damn well would have normally. And the two people who don't go with them, I mean, obviously Aerith has to be on her own for her own Aerith reasons. The two people that don't go with them but go with her, it's kind of a motley group, to be honest. Because for the first time, really, you have Red and Barrett separated in different groups. Those two always get paired up together. This time, not so much, because Red would not work out in this dynamic here. And Yuffie wouldn't work out in this. Yuffie wouldn't be able to keep her mouth shut. Yuffie would call out Cloud. If it was just them like this, Yuffie would absolutely say something about it. And like I said on the dates earlier, Yuffie and Red both have this, end up with kind of this younger sibling, older sibling relationship with Cloud. How much damage would that take if it was one or both of them with Cloud and him going through what he goes through with this group? And so I think the group was chosen very deliberately because of the dynamic that these three have and that Cloud doesn't have with the others, or that it's a different dynamic entirely. But neither of them would really work well in this scenario with Cloud. Certainly not to allow things to progress the way they need to progress to get us to the ending of this. And as I've said, Aerith, Ultimate Aerith, kind of knows what needs to happen and will help ensure certain things happen to get there. And I can't help but think that she had a hand in this design of why these three, and specifically not the other two. See, I mean, they're staring at him. If they hadn't already had these conversations, they would have said something to him there.
Hey kids, sorry we're late.
Better late than never. Still owe you both for Sector 7.
Nice version of this song, of this theme.
Could say the same for you.
But no, we gotta be professional.
We'll have to settle up later.
It's a little weird. They're gonna set the bomb off while they're still in the room with them, trusting that it's gonna block it off after they've already left. Not the best plan the Turks have ever had. Hey, look, it's the Gears motif from the Loveless play. And also the fact that we only have 6 people here works very well for another good reason to keep Kate out of the party, so that we're not trying to balance that extra character in any of this.
I really screwed up.
No. You really didn't.
And don't beat yourself up. First time and all that. Just gotta keep at it. Starting right now.
That's upside down, Yuffie.
We'll get through this, Aerith. Together.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Can't give up now.
Aerith is almost as good at putting that staff away and making it invisible as Sephiroth is about the Masamune just into thin air. Hers, technically, she does shrink them up and, like, tuck them away. Sephiroth's sword just... Okay, I gotta rebalance everything and continue going on, so see you in a second. Ooh.
What's this?
Oh yeah, that's right. Yes, in the OG 7, there was a pool of Mako just like this that gave Aerith some visions and information when we got to it. Thank God we're not dodging rolling pillars and stuff in this version. This is kind of a cool mechanic. It's a good way of incorporating a little bit of Aerith more directly as a protagonist at this point in the story.
It's gonna teach me how to be at one with the lifestream, attuned to its flow. Thank you.
I can't not make Aerith spin around in circles. Alright, now let's see. I think, do we go straight to this? Just enough. Wow. Okay, there's a lot of that. I don't think there's anything really story related in the meantime, as we do that several more times to find just the right amount of lifestream power to power these little things. Alright, Aerith. Mastering some of her sparkly wand powers here. Yay. Surprisingly, not a whole lot happens in this section, really. I do like the build your own dungeon aspect of this place. It's a unique mechanism, I think. But
how about we take a quick breather?
Good idea.
My one major criticism of this section is having to stop every few seconds and pray with Aerith for a little teeny tiny mote of light to come join her.
Okay.
And then like, okay, walk over, break a rock, stop and pray again. Walk over, break another rock, stop and pray again. Because they're just far enough apart that you can't get them all in the same pray sometimes. Find a monster, stop and pray. Break a rock, stop and pray again. It gets old fast. Alright, back with the original 3.
Damn it.
I'm guessing this transformation here is due to Aerith's screwing around with the dungeon a bit. We've already seen that she has an effect on things, obviously. But is it an accident of her messing around with the dungeon, or a
tired of this place?
Well,
conscious
at least we have a way out.
action by another entity controlling the lifestream and potentially affecting the dungeon? Now this is weird, like the whole transforming into the frog thing.
Oh, what now?
I'm not sure I get why that's a mechanic here, but whatever. Anyway.
Does it matter at this point?
Except to give Cloud that Sephirothian menace moment to him. Alright. Alright, I get it. Gotta reset things, and I'll meet you at the next story bit.
Man, this thing is intense.
I will say there have been moments along the path here where, I mean, we've seen the live stream is supposed to be angry. There have been moments where it seems like the live stream flows here are going out of their way to destroy the path in front of us specifically. And, you know, where right as Cloud walks up to something, the ground falls out from underneath him. Right as we're walking up to something, something blows and crashes and the whole thing starts falling down. You're like, hurry, let's run, let's run. And as soon as you get across, it collapses right behind your heels. And you get the feeling that either the live stream itself is fighting against, you know, potentially Ultimate Aerith's influence in guiding them, or if she isn't an active influence, it's literally just, you know, taking out everybody and is angry with Cloud for being Clouderoff. I don't know. I mean, I know it makes for good storytelling and pacing and driving the narrative of you getting through this place, and oh, let's put some little bit of impetus here and getting you through it faster, but as a in-game reason for it, livestream getting mad at Cloud isn't bad.
Go check the path. Sir, make sure it's stable. Oh God!
I mean, there's stuff like that, but clearly it's kind of out to get everybody. Which begs the question, why is the live stream angry? Is it just because people are getting close to the black materia? Because we know Sephiroth is trying to increase the anger and dark thoughts that are going into the live stream.
We could try using that.
Gotta be a way to get it down. Let's take a look.
Cloud uses the hand crank, gets this thing charged up and still just sitting there. Lighthouse. Not sure what purpose this thing served originally. But, fortunately, it's in just the right place that an Iron Giant can show up and get knocked over and break the thing and be of good use. Why does the Iron Giant appear, you say? Was he sent to us from someone out of the live stream there? I don't know. Bit conspiracy theory at that point. It is awfully convenient, though.
I say we put this big asshole to work. All right, it's time to get pushing, people.
Okay, well, after knocking down the big dude and knocking down the tower, now we're gonna cause some more havoc and wreak some more destruction here. You missed with your box there, Cloud. Just saying.
Don't know about you, but I'll take it.
Okay, obviously the Rude and Reno fight is next, and I enjoyed this fight. It was a lot of fun the first time around. It was tough. I think it took me a couple tries. I don't remember, honestly. But I do remember it was a lot of fun, because the Turks are always a good fight. Come on. So there'll be I'll try and cut just, you know, the sort of the interesting bits of this, but it's a combat, so it's going to be weird. But I do like this idea that we have to team up with them first, you know, fight the monsters.
Just take him out.
Nice one, Rude.
Thanks.
Protect Tifa.
Get a room, will ya? Shut up.
That's my girlfriend, not his.
Not
too shabby.
And time to fight. Now, when it comes to the actual fight, Groot is still a professional. He will fight Tifa if necessary. That's the job. But, you know, given the choice, he sure doesn't seem keen on fighting her, does he? Which is a great nod, and especially in Remake when he pulled the helicopter away from shooting Tifa. Great nod to the fact that in OG7 it's revealed that Groot has a little bit of a crush on Tifa. I mean, who doesn't really, but...
Reno, you know what to do.
Kick ass, take names. These hassles are better than I remember.
And of course, now we get Aerith's bit of intervention here.
But still not good enough.
Ta-da!
Back to plan A then?
Gotta wonder what they're thinking of that.
We kick ass and take names.
There we go. There we go.
You ready to settle up? Because I've been waiting for this.
You mean for this?
As much as we want to see the grudge match, it's a little cool that you don't see it, you just see Rude go flying, but I kind of want to see this happen for real, not just a punch and then a thump.
Nice save.
I like that you don't see Elena or Tseng here. You don't get an angle on them, so you don't know what's coming.
I'm so glad you're all okay. Right back at ya.
We're lucky you didn't crush us.
But you know right now Cloud is zeroing in on Elena with that turn he just did. And now we're back to the clockwork motif. Again, only place we ever saw this was in Loveless. Not saying it's connected, but I'm not saying it's not connected.
Well then, shall we?
You sure?
Yep. Can't keep Cloud and the others waiting.
Alrighty. Oh, more build your own dungeon. Again, I like it as a concept. It's just the 12 little bits of lifestream or whatever, the little green bits. Still annoying.
You'll see.
Except you still won't, Aerith. That's the problem.
Maybe you're low on lifestream or something?
You almost got it, Aerith. But apparently, the brand new mechanic we just discovered with the laser beams also has another new mechanic of monsters interrupting the laser beams. And we're just gonna go with that makes sense.
So it's their fault.
I hate those things so much. Alright, and a quick trip to kill the Hecti thingamajoggers, and we're back at this thing where we should be. Just in time to finish remaking things and for Aerith to save Cloud's butt.
Look!
Cloud!
Hold on! We're coming!
It's okay. We'll get to them. Just need to find the path.
I just realized my camera was off. Sorry about that.
They should have been here by now. What's the holdup?
I don't know, but time's wasting.
Huh?
Don't like our chances?
What? No! I'm sure we'll be fine. I have the utmost faith in you, sir. It's been the honor of a lifetime to work with... Hey! Wait for me!
Something I think that I appreciate that they played down a bit. I mean, obviously we only know a little bit of it from OG7, is the feelings of the Turks towards some of our party and each other. Obviously, I still appreciate Rude's crush on Tifa, like I mentioned earlier, but they don't make a big deal out of it, really. Just enough that if it were to be mentioned, you'd be like, ah, yeah. And if it's not mentioned, but you played OG7, you still recognize it. But specifically, I'm glad they seem to have done away with what was hinted at, and it could have been a translation thing, but it was hinted that Tseng had a bit of a thing for Aerith. And in this version, does not seem to be a thing at all. Like, he is very protective of her. He has literally known her probably since she was an infant. At the very least, he's been interested professionally in her as his target and as the Ancient since she was 7 years old. So I'm glad that that's not a thing. It didn't really hit in OG7 because you're just like, okay, well, Aerith's cute. We can forgive Tseng for having a bit of a crush on her, and she's an awesome person. Because you didn't really catch the age disparity, to be honest. It just didn't really click in. And then when you really think about it, you're like, oh, yeah, that's weird. But they took that away, so I was glad. It is still in the books, so there may be something still available that Elena has a thing for Tseng. It is acknowledged in, I think it's in On the Way to a Smile, that Tseng is aware of Elena's feelings for him. And, and he kind of, I don't remember whether it says he just doesn't reciprocate them or it's a I'm your boss sort of thing and therefore no. In OG7, there is a scene you see where he asks her, hey, let's get dinner. And it's right before Sephiroth stabs him in the Temple of the Ancients. And so maybe he might have allowed things to happen in OG7, where we have not seen any indication here. But again, we don't see a whole lot of them. I mean, we see more of them in this version than we did in OG, that's for sure. But there still could be something they might play with there. You never know. But I'm glad at the very least that they've toned it down a bit. And it's not... I mean, not that it was that big a thing to begin with, let's be honest. But still, it wasn't... There's a lot of weirdness to happen there. So, as we hop into this particular fight, actually, I think I need to check my materia setup because I remember this being... I know they're elemental weaknesses. I don't think it's a hard fight, but it's not an easy fight. So, I'll be back for the chat before and then skip to after. Hello.
Don't. Come on.
You chickens!
At the very least, Tseng is always still protective of Aerith and
it's time we
treats her
now we're talking.
more like a person than I think anybody else
You
in
saw the
Shinra
flags
does.
outside, didn't you? The Promised Land belongs to Shinra now. Sorry, Ancient. You snooze, you lose.
I thought there were 6.
Oh dear, did you 3 get lost?
3 is still greater than 2, you know.
And? So what if it is? Between me and Tseng, we got the strength of an army.
Spare the Ancient.
I'll try.
Elena, with me.
Okay.
Alright, here we go. Now watch that. If you can recognize the same moment now that you saw before, you just didn't know what Cloud was doing.
You're not getting past me. I'm a Turk. God damn it.
And there's a very pink blingy gun. And yet very Elena. Yeah, so watch this. You can still see the moment when Cloud turns.
It's them.
That's where she said it before, and then right after that we saw Cloud kind of turn and start walking right here. But we didn't know what he was doing. Well, he's walking over to Elena. And God, we just watch Elena's face. Watch the fear.
Cloud!
Don't be afraid.
You gotta think, the Turks have never really gotten their butts kicked this badly before. In all the fights we've had with them, we fight, and then, you know, we win, but they just sort of walk away, or they're like, oh, time to go, head out. You know, the closest really was, I think, was when Cloud first fought Reno. He beat him up pretty solid, but I mean, he sort of needed a little bit of help limping along with the soldier, but he was fine later. And then obviously he got beat up pretty bad, and that's why he was out of commission at the end here. But all of the Turks just got their butts royally just like served up on a silver platter here. And you can tell they are just beaten right there. And I looked up a little bit.
Death doesn't suit a Turk.
I'm not sure how much these Turks know about Vincent. Because Vincent was shot by Hojo and started getting experimented on, and, you know, his time as a Turk essentially came to an end. The same year that Tseng and Rude were born, 1977, and Reno, Reno was also born in 77, I think. So, like, the three of them were all born in 77, the same year that Vincent started getting experimented on, basically. And then he clearly wasn't, you know, he's the old guard of the Turks. And so I don't know much about the Turks prior to Tseng being the one in charge. I know there were several previous Turks that were in other games, the prequel games, you know, Before Crisis, whatever, all the other ones. And I know one of them is mentioned in passing in On the Way to a Smile when Tseng is remembering the time right after Sephiroth stabbed him, when Cait Sith comes in to save him. He calls Tseng's former boss, or something like that, I think is the reference they make, who comes and actually gets Tseng out of there and saves him in OG7. Or rather, in the book, but during the OG7 version of things. And here, obviously, in a minute, all the Turks walk out together. No need for, you know, Cait to call in assistance. I don't know if these Turks know Vincent was a Turk. I imagine they have files on everybody, so it wouldn't surprise me if they did. Especially when he starts traveling with them, they'd be like, "Wait, who the hell's that guy?" And if they recognize the name, because obviously Cait recognized the name, they have the file there because Cait had read the file. And so they could have said, "Oh, Vincent Valentine, why is that name familiar? Oh, hey, he used to be a Turk. Wait, what the hell?" You gotta wonder what that team meeting was like, because they're reviewing his file and wondering what the hell happened to him and where he came from, and suddenly joining things now. But it begs the question, is just how much do they really know about him? I don't imagine that Hojo's experiments are necessarily part of the file on him. They seem like they were sort of off the books sort of things to me, but you never know. But yeah, I just I want to get a little bit more interaction with Vincent and the Turks in part 3. I think there's more to be told there and more interpersonal something that could happen, you know, especially as we get to the Turks in Wutai, or the Turks especially in Midgar, that we in what OG7 was their final appearance. There's some room for Vincent and the Turks to have some dialogue going on, and I'm hoping that there's something that they'll give us. Hall of Resurrection. Interesting. Now, it took me way too long, my first playthrough, to recognize that this was the clock room. Down on the floor, you can see the arrows. It wasn't, I think, until all the trials were done and the floor started rotating that I actually saw the arrows and put 2 and 2 together that that's what this place was, that this was this version of the clock room from OG7. And so just as a quick thing, the rooms that you see here, obviously we have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rooms, so 6 of the 7 people. And then these 2 are in OG7. This is the door that led south to where you got the keystone, or not the keystone, the black materia. So this is the room, the mural room that we'll see the equivalent of later on. And then this door led to the demon wall. The rest of the rooms in OG7, some of them were blocked off with rubble, some of them led to part of the other map, the sort of Escher-like stairway that you got to get in here. And it's the same rooms. These 2 that are blocked off by rubble were blocked off and didn't have anything in OG7. Same thing with this one, and I think one of these might have a chest or something in it, and that corresponds with something where there was something in the room, but it wasn't, which is a ridiculously minor detail, but still pretty cool that they did it that way.